All right, so this is the head unit right here. I took it off in two pieces, and I mean, you can see I started disassembling in here. Just took these ball links apart. So the that is one of the arms there. I'm just showing here how I put the Loctite into the screw hole instead of that arm had bearings on it, so I didn't want to put the Loctite on the screw and then put it through the bearings. So I put it in the hole that the screw was going into. And now these screws, I just put Loctite right on the screws. Just took one out, Loctited it, and put it in, and then took the other one out, Loctited it, put it in. Same thing with all the ball links here. Just loosen them all up. You can see they have no Loctite on them at all. These are the main blade grip screws, no Loctite at all. This is the bearing actually had grease on it. So, I mean, really, you could just put those mains back in. But I took it all apart. I beefed up the grease a little bit. All right, so I just did the head assembly. I want to say it took me 20-25 minutes. It's pretty straightforward. I don't really have any particular notes. I could say that these are good tools to have. So I got my Loctite here, and I've got a little bit of grease that I packed into the bearings, and then I have a little bit of oil that I apply to the prefab bearings that are in a casing. So those are the three things that I put on the parts as I'm putting it together. These are really nice to have, these micro brushes. So just starting from the top, I mean, obviously these bolts here on the outside have to be taken apart kind of at the same time. Nothing particular through the head that caught my attention. One thing I could say is there was grease on these bearings already. If I hadn't taken them out, they probably would have been just fine. Now, these screws up here for the main blade grips, they could just be Loctited as normal because they just hit that one spacer that's in the end and they go right into the main shaft. So just put Loctite on them as normal. These two screws on the end of the main blade grips, just Loctite as normal. Obviously all the ball links, just Loctite as normal. You want your lines on the upward side and the A's facing outward. This has two head block screws, which is nice. Now those are self-locking, so no Loctite there. This one here is a little tricky. So this is one where this screw goes through bearings. Okay, a set of bearings here and a set of bearings here, right? So I don't like sending this screw through with Loctite on it. So instead, what I did was took it out and I took the Loctite and I put it on the receptacle in there. Okay, so now I had the screw pushed through the fixture and the bearings, and just the threaded end went into the fixture with Loctite on it. So I didn't get Loctite all over my bearings, and I think that's a great technique. It's kind of hard to check that on the head, but on the tail, it's real easy to tell when that's not right. It binds up and everything else. With the head, you plug it into the servos, and the servos are pushing it, so it's kind of hard to check that. But so this is definitely one of those screws right there where it's better to Loctite the fixture than the screw. Same thing on the other end here. So there's a set of bearings here and a set of bearings here. So I took these screws out and I put the Loctite on both sides on the fixture. That way I wasn't binding these bearings up, sending a screw through with Loctite on it. And it's pretty much it. I Loctited all the ball links that the riser arms linkage rods connect to, and that's pretty much it. The head's two pieces. Oh man, I'll tell you, the fly barless heads are just, man, so simple. Really took me all of 20 minutes to take it apart, take the whole thing apart. All the joints moved really smooth when I was done, so I didn't have to do it a second time. I wasn't happy with the tail the first time I did it, and I had put the screws through with Loctite on them. I was getting some binding, but if you put the Loctite in the receptacle instead of through on the bolt, wherever there's bearings or there's a smooth section, the head winds up moving really smooth. So that's pretty much it. Not a lot to it. The way this head is set up is, I think it's really good. Obviously, you got your alignment marks up top to check your zero degrees of pitch. So the head's done, the tail's done. Most of the programming is done. I've got some stuff to work out with the receiver, but this thing is pretty much flight ready. GoPro, stop recording.